Sir, this episode is all about journalism, writing, books, as well as we will be touching the borders of politics.
Came out of 3 near-death situations, bankruptcy, loss of jobs.
Were there any moments that you felt like, I give up, I want to quit, and I don't want to publish this book anymore? When do you write better? Is it when you're happy, angry, or just disappointed?
All of them. The kind of writing that comes out may be different, but all moods provoke you. I don't know about other countries much, but Indians are very, very, very cynical.
Hello, my dear viewers. I am Bansri Trivedi, and welcome to another episode of The Social Scoop. Getting straight to the point, there are some people who break the news. There are some people who create the news. And then there are some who do both. Our today's guest is someone who has lived through both the lives of the story. He is a journalist, columnist, writer, editor, political analyst. However, these labels don't just define him, his words do. He is currently working as the Director of Media and Communications for the government of Telangana. He is known for his sharp insights, bold opinions, and a knack to make people think. From books to newsrooms and headlines to government corridors, his journey is nothing but inspiring. He has worked for several publications including The Guardian, The New York Times, The Hindu, and also Deccan Chronicle as the editor-in-chief. One day he is questioning the power and the next he is in it. I am pleased and honored to welcome Mr. Sriram Karri in our studio located at Delhi Public School, Nacharam. Hello, sir. A very good morning to you, sir. I am genuinely pleased and honored to have you with us today.
Pleasure being here, Bansri. Thank you so much.
Sir, this episode is all about journalism, writing, books, as well as we will be touching the borders of politics. And I have few students with me who have finished their grade 11 and have moved to grade 12. And they are media practitioners. They have taken mass media as one of their optional subjects. So they also have several questions regarding the field of journalism, writing, as well as media. So, sir, let's rewind. Where did this journey really begin? When did you first realize that you wanted to write?
I'm very afraid of someday somebody would ask me this. And most of the time I've answered this while doing creative writing workshops in schools, which are off camera. And therefore nobody really gets to hear it. Now there's a big prospect of a controversy here, but I believe when started going to school, class 1, class 2, around that time, I think I felt life's first sense of larger helplessness, powerlessness, or the message you get as a little child. And this can be true for almost all children at one level, more so for those who come with certain social and other disadvantages. So for me, it was a sense of helplessness that you cannot control the universe around you much. But you pick a piece of paper and you could do whatever you like. For example, there's a bully in your class who can beat you up because he's taller, stronger, or there's a teacher who doesn't like you and harasses you. But in my story, I could make the teacher a balloon and make her fly away, or I could make the bully a tomato and cut him into pieces. So this was a sense that you should create a kind of alternate universe to be able to let those desires you have that stem from being cornered in society, in life. And this was like a good escape to begin with. And along with writing was a sense of, it also grows when you read a lot. So here you are reading, in those days, abridged versions initially of classics. And it kind of fascinates you to say, oh my God, I am having a conversation with a great mind from centuries ago. Somebody whose socio-economic, national, geographic context has no connection with mine. Yet there is an intellectual and emotional connect. Are you reading about these children, Charles Dickens writes about in an early industrial revolution, post-industrial revolution society, and that London had no connect with you. But you kind of understood that. And once you start reading this, you feel fascinated by how much you owe to all these great minds. And then it comes to you at some point saying, should I not leave some words of my own for much, much later than my lifetime? And this is a very significant question, especially to these young children here. When you are in art, when you're in media, there'll always be this conflict of, are you catering to the absolute short-term immediate? Or do you also have an ability to create that word, that sentence, that phrase, that idea, that thought, that coinage, that kind of a construct that'll be relevant and interesting and worthy of brooding a century later? When you make a short film, a movie, a reel, yes, you want instant gratification, but what is the long-term impact you'll have as well? And how universal is it? How many people across the universe will connect with you? These are the kind of thoughts also that are kind of, and therefore this absolute short-term versus the long-term is, I think, an interesting dilemma. But I would nevertheless reduce everything between writing and journalism to one of my favorite thinkers, everybody's favorite thinker actually, Oscar Wilde, who said, journalism is literature written in a hurry, or in a more funny mode of, as he said, literature is something nobody reads and journalism is not worth reading. So,
So, from being a writer to journalist, editor-in-chief, and now director of media and communications. So you have to, if you had to describe all of this in one clickbait headline, what would it be?
how to have fun and make the world pay you while you do so.
So publishing a book is a nightmare, of course. How long did it take for your book, The Autobiography of Mad Nation, to see the light of the day? Were there any moments that you felt like, I give up, I want to quit, and I don't want to publish this book anymore?
In my life, I've had many negative phases. It became part of you. But one thought I have yet to get introduced to Bansari in my life is, I will give up. I don't know how to say it actually. It doesn't come out from my mind properly. I can't, I don't know how to say it also. So Winston Churchill famously gave that speech and ended with 6 words. And I think everybody should somewhere keep it at the back of your hand. And the beauty of the speech was it turned the history, because that was a low point for the Allies, and the Axis powers were really, had almost taken a lot of France, and the 6 words were never, 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 never give up. But as somebody who actually came out of 3 near-death situations, bankruptcy, loss of jobs, absolute darkness in terms of future prospects, insulted, humiliated million times, physical kind of victim of violence, I have never felt negativity in my life. No matter what the odds, the worse the odds, the greater my sense that this victory will taste sweeter. See, 99 defeats don't make a difference to anybody's life. One victory does. 99 no's don't make a difference. One yes is all it takes. So, how can you give up? It's you. It's your life. You're too precious, too important, too crucial for this universe. So, you should value yourself so much. Your value, your worth, your words, your work. Everything else is just
So moving on to the next question. What's been the hardest struggle of your career so far? Was it writing? Was it journalism? Or was it currently that you're doing right now, being chaotic and working for the government of Telangana?
No, there is nothing chaotic working for the government of Telangana. It's a great opportunity and privilege. one that gives me a lot of newer lessons to learn, newer challenges, and given my various past experiences of being a journalist, of having handled communications and brand building and several kinds of marketing initiatives in corporates, technology, startup, a range of experiences like these. I believe this perfectly allows me to harness and exploit all those strengths, talents to the best of my ability. Uh, but talking of the hardest challenge in life, I think I would say class 10th, class 11th, class 12th board exam. Those two board exams in 3 days, uh, I think that was tough.
Okay, sir. Sir, when do you write better? Is it when you're happy, angry, or just disappointed?
All of them. The
And
kind
when
of writing that comes out may be different, but all moods provoke you. Most important thing is uh, each of the modes you described are extreme modes. Problem is to write when you are bored and when you have nothing to say, and how do you create that? You very vigorously shake yourself from within while everything else is normal. So a lot of authors like dedicated room, they like silence. I write best in chaos. So if I'm sitting in a mall, at a coffee shop, or a loud place where there's so much noise, people, that's when I'm able to make notes. So even today, when uh, I need a little bit of introspection of internal brainstorming of sort, I would go to the busiest traffic jam and sit there, have a cup of tea with a notebook and pen, or these days on make notes on your mobile phone. But that's the kind of loud chaos that I believe I thrive best.
right, sir. So, what was that one moment? That moment where you thought, "This is it. I've made it in life," or do you think the journey is still yet to continue? That way, you think that now I have made it in life.
I've derived satisfaction from the joy and pride of people who love me at different stages in life when they said, "Oh, we're very happy for you." Uh, Getting your first scholarship to go to study in a public school, clearing the National Defense Academy and going to possibly going to the NDA as an Air Force cadet. These are getting your first job, first salary, first corporate job, first trip to the US on an assignment sent from Hyderabad. Or these are things that the world cherishes. The world really has its own benchmarks, and your family members, your mother, your father, friends, they feel happy for you. I haven't yet felt I'm anywhere near to that point I would like to reach where I said, yes, I have done it.
Anything you have in your mind that once you do, you will get that feeling that yes, this is what I wanted and I've done
Absolutely.
it.
I'm very clear about it. I knew it way back in the 80s. I have a list of 5 things to do, and when I do, I'll know it.
Can you spill the tea on at least one of them?
Yeah. You tried well, Bansri, but no.
Okay, so moving on to the next segment, journalism versus social media. Let's be real, sir. Do newspapers have a future according to you? Or is it time to accept that the next gen journalists are all about Twitter threads?
Not just Twitter, in fact, the scope for journalism. And then here we shouldn't be stuck by format, or that which comes in a newspaper as journalism, or that which is as a program on conventionally known channels, registered news channels as news. No, but if you've read Harari and his theories of human evolution, and a question comes, why did all the lions or dinosaurs not come together and rule the world and form a kind of a bond which is capable and possible only for humans? And the reason is we love social connections. We love gossip. We love to know what's happening. And this is unique to us. I don't think one lion cares what's happening to another lion in a jungle 100 miles away. This desire, curiosity, this kind of connect, which is at times voyeuristic, at times profound, is the foundation for civilization. And anybody who has catered to this need in other humans to know. If you take Indian Hindu mythology, Narad Muni would go from one great office of power of the gods to the other and say this is happening. And mind you, every person who's ever told what's happened in one place to take that information and tell it to other people or in a different time or place can be accused of having put his view, his point of view, or having an agenda and some kind of subjectivity. We aim for objectivity, the absolute impartial observer that physics demands when you do an experiment with subatomic particles. Wish we could replicate it in human affairs. High ideal, hard to achieve, and there are moments you do. So, yes, today's journalism is different. It is about anybody and everybody who sees something, makes a video of it, puts it on Instagram, puts it on WhatsApp, puts it on Facebook, does it with different levels of expertise and commitment to either objectivity or to any point of view. And I think it is welcome. Social media is well and truly democratized, taken away the power of monopoly of narrative setting to a restricted, till not so long ago, in the hands of a few. And I think that is wonderful. It challenges a lot of journalists, a lot of people who've had different kinds of career and they don't find they're that important any longer. And that is their anger. And that is why they would like to deride. Let me tell you, both conventional journalists and social media journalists can all be absolute service, absolutely crucial service providers to society, and at the same time also total donkeys. And I'm saying donkeys politely because it's a school-based podcast. I would have said words otherwise. And I think that's fine. Society will find its sense of truth through approximation. A lot of people say fake news is a threat. Biased media is a threat. That media is right-wing. This guy is left-wing. That guy is woke. Nobody takes you that seriously. None of you are as influential as you think. I know a lot of people go around wearing the nameplate of social influencer. No, I think we all have far less influence on other people than we realize. Influence, much less so inspiration. Or the ability to inspire other people is exceptional, rare. We pass on some information, they take you with a pinch of salt. I don't know about other countries much, but Indians are very, very, very cynical. They always filter what you say very carefully. So you can be a ABC party journalist, you can be that corporate supporter, you can be a psycho fan praising this movie actor and praising a bad movie because of some other interest. People make out.
So continuing with the same question, are journalists in India really free then?
Is anybody free? It was Jacques Rousseau who said, man is born free, but everywhere he's in chains. And this became like a dictum that eventually culminated in French Revolution, where really first time society faced with the absolute first practical possibility of liberty and freedom for a large number of people. And since and before and now, we ask, are we free? Free of what? Some people denote and understand freedom as some kind of a liberty from responsibility. No, there isn't. Young people must understand this. You are free to make a choice. You are not free to escape its consequence. So is it freedom or is it slavery? Is it a kind of a bond? I think the fact that you have a choice and that you have, the more insignificant and powerless you ever feel in life, is the time for you to really face up to this internal voice, sit in front of a mirror and tell yourself, you have agency. You actually have the power. You, as an individually, you have the power. If you mustered up all your intelligence and creative faculties and energy and conviction and passion, no matter how weak you think, no matter how insignificant they tell you you are, you have the ability to change the world. The bigger the change, the harder the prospect, tougher the journey, more fun will be when you win. This sense of agency is something I believe the moral duty of educators, teachers to give to their students in school after school, class after school, class across the country. Unfortunately, and people ask you, what is the failure of education? What is the success of education? Is our education relevant, successful? I believe the number of teachers who go on to give this moral conviction and courage to their students is more individual exception. And the system itself takes away, makes moral cowards out of young people. And I think that's all you need to do. Tell people you can change the world. You absolutely can.
So talking about courage, we worked together for the Deccan Chronicle. For 2 years, you were my mentor. I learned a lot from you and I continue to do so. So one question related to that. One news story that you couldn't publish because you thought it was too real. Can you talk about it?
I think you worked on it.
Yes.
And it dealt with the issue of education. It was not a school-related thing. It was a university-related thing. And you did all the research. You had the recordings, the notes. And I think we couldn't publish it because the legal advice was that this will find it hard to defend if the defamation cases happen. And obviously, we sent many legal notices. And I used to have a bundle called Junk, in which I used to put all the legal notices. And I used to collect, saying, kitne aayenge dekhte hain. My secretary used to funnily call it love letter. So it says, sir, you got 3 more love letters. So I said, just tell me which stories got it. But yeah, that was one story we couldn't do. Actually, couldn't do a few stories. And I think it's okay.
As a journalist, I didn't feel okay that time, sir. And I'm not talking about only myself. Many other journalists, the talk goes on in the newsroom that we've worked hard, this is what we've broken. But then, like you mentioned, legal issues, because of that, many stories remain uncovered. Moving on, sir, if someone wants to become a journalist today, would you tell them, yes, go for it, or would you ask them to just run and take a U-turn?
I'm kind of caught in between sounding very nice, sounding serious, sounding wicked, sounding sarcastic. But I would say if they have good reasons to do what they're doing, and they really understand what it is, what it brings. You know, Bansari, a lot of people would come to me for an interview for a job. Some of them you can make out they need a job as a journalist. They're already working and they want it. Some of them I very easily conclude they can do nothing in life other than this. So I'd quickly get on to details like when will you join, how much salary would you ask, etc. But there's some people who would come to me saying, I'm an engineer, I'm working in a software company, I'm in a bank, I would like to do journalism. With such people, I used to spend a lot of time telling them, you will not earn money.
Yes.
You are an engineer, you have your friends who are working in software companies, they'll be traveling to, international destinations, they'll be buying a car, buying a flat, and you won't have all that. And they'll have good working hours, they will have weekends, they'll have all that. And when you compare with your batchmates, and batchmates is who you essentially compare, that and a few cousins and family, which your uncle and auntie and father and mother and all will force you to compare whether you like it or not. That's a nuisance, the family part. But the batch is something you keep corresponding. Oh, that guy has made it so much money they're earning. Oh, wow, he's a director or manager or whatever. Your own batchmates. And then you see nothing to show for it except 4 bylines. I mean, that if they are very clear, they can go ahead. But I believe, and this is seriously the thing about the audience we are speaking to, who are all like class 10th, 11th, 12th right now in 2025. You'd be doing college next 4, 5 years, 6 years, masters. So you'd really be getting into the workforce, say 2030 plus, or 2033, 2035, etc. I don't think they would have one job and profession, most of them. This is my hunch. I could be totally wrong, like on everything else. But my hunch is they will, instead of saying, I have this degree and this job and this work in mind, they will get a set of qualities, competencies, skills, exposures that will create several set of opportunities. And they may dabble in each of those before finding the sweet spot or creating an opportunity which brings to use all these skills.
Right, sir. Moving on to the next segment, which is a bit about politics. If politics was a novel, what genre would the Telangana political scene belong to?
Wow, that was a tough question. I would say, actually, if I really want to answer this very seriously, it would be a little like Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, a kind of historic, realistic novel at one end of the spectrum to describe it. At times, I would find it funny enough to see it as 3 men on a boat, not to mention the dog. At sometimes, at a more extreme moment, maybe a moment of a little anger or morbidity or darkness, I would think almost borders on Brave New World. So the range of genres. But mostly I think it's also something very nice. End of the day, I can tell you this much about Telangana. I'm saying this as somebody who's not born in Telangana, born somewhere else in the country, came here and accepted it as my home, and it accepted me as its citizen and resident and citizen. There's something very nice about the people of the state. They've had share of difficulties, and I'm talking a large collective, and at the same time they've had the share of struggles at the same time. But there's something fundamentally very nice. I really wish every state in India had that nice city, and some states don't. I know it by personal experience. So I think anything to do with Telangana will therefore have something very nice, human warmth to it.
Sir, is it harder to write books or to survive in politics?
I'm not in politics, Nancy. I'm just a professional whose boss happens to be the most successful politician in the state, and whose vision and passion is what has drawn me to him. I'm not here in politics either because I love politics or want to be in politics. No, it's just a job for me. I'm not a politician in that sense. I'm a professional, and the complicated nature of change of aspirations of people has put pressure on governments to take. You must have heard of lateral entries, where people from different walks of life can come and work with the government. So I have a particular category of what are called political appointees. But it's been there for a very long time, and I do my job. So I don't know much about survival in politics. Writing a novel is not at all hard. I can answer that question later if you ask me how do you write a novel, but writing a novel is not hard at all. It's beautiful.
Sir, is there ever a moment where you're like, forget journalism, let me be the minister and let me fix things myself?
No.
Sir, if you had the power to change one thing about Indian media industry overnight, what would it be?
Oh, God. Oh, I think the government must seriously consider FDIs in media. I think for a long time, I believe that will actually make a qualitative impact. For too long, we have behaved like it's a threat. I think in the internet world, I think it will be a good change to do that. I believe that's one change, very practical change I'd like to bring. The second change, I don't know.
Okay, so moving on to the last segment before I introduce my students to have a chat with you. It's a fun rapid fire round, and I'm sure you know the rules of rapid fire where you have to be spontaneous. It's nothing controversial, sir, I
I am
promise.
not a very spontaneous person, but I'll try.
Sir, a news headline that would make a great book title.
I think my predecessor editor gave, in response to Maharashtra politics, I think it was a headline of the decade in Indian politics when Fadnavis became the CM, not this time, but last time. And it was Ward the Fadnavis. So I think that would have been a good title for a book.
Right, sir. If India's political landscape was a novel, what genre would it be? Satire, tragedy, science fiction, drama, or anything that you would like to pick?
The beautiful thing about India, once again, sorry, I can't answer it like that. This question needs to be answered differently. Indians, by definition, love a coming together of many things. Like a classic Indian successful movie. It'll have action, comedy, tragedy, personal love, romance,
Yes.
friendship. It's like the Indian thali. The best, most popular category of eating is thali, where you have dal, chawal, rice, biryani, salad, mithai, lassi. That is Indian.
Political
So
landscape.
Indian politics, I believe, is therefore a melange, a mosaic, a culmination of many things, and it's like a rainbow. It's like so even as each page would belong to a category.
Okay, sir. So one headline about yourself.
The one I loved actually, Khushwant Singh ji used to say it about himself. That was the name of his column. I don't know how many young people today have read about him or have chance to. Not a nice man to know. I would say I'm pretty sure nobody would say we spoke to him for a while and got bored. I don't think anybody will say that. So a good conversationalist. Nice to talk to. That sounds better, yeah.
Sir, describe journalist in one word.
Quidnunc. Gossip monger.
Oh my God.
Tattler. I think Tattler would be, it's the name of a magazine, so Tattler would be a great term.
Sir, describe a politician in one word.
Practical idealist.
So let's say.
That's incidentally
Yes.
how Mahatma Gandhi described himself.
Right.
I'm a pragmatic idealist. And I think all good politicians are practical idealists. They are inspired by a large ideal, but their way to achieving that is, it comprises of making series of decisions, taking series of actions and responding to a series of situations which are very, very, very grounded and practical.
So let's say your biggest critic is watching this right now. What would you say to them?
I actually miss my biggest critic since the time my mother passed away. And some of my other friends who are no longer there. But I think I approach criticism in the spirit of how Kabir Das ji said, Nindak niyare rakhiye angan kuti chawai, bin pani sabun bina nirmal kare suhai. So if a critic is watching it, please criticize by all means. Do it more. It enriches me, it cleanses me, it gives me an opportunity to improve.
Students, listen out a positive way to take criticism. Sir,
That was just for the camera.
sir, a book you wish you had written. Is there any?
Absolutely. 10,000 titles I can tell you. The Fountainhead would have been a novel everybody I knew in my would love to have written. The Outsider, Brave New World, Catcher in the Rye, or Tale of Two Cities, Catch 22. I mean, there are too many of them.
Right, sir. Sir, one book that changed your perspective on life.
I don't know if it changed my perspective. I think it strengthened my perspectives, The Fountainhead.
So, who's a better storyteller, politicians or journalists?
Politicians, where is the journalists are not so good storytellers. That's just to complete the sentence very politely.
So, before I introduce the students, can you talk about the Shriram Karri that the media doesn't know about? What do you like to do in your free time apart from reading books? Because the photos that you have posted on Twitter here and there, I see you have a huge library. And apart from reading, who is the other side of Shriram Karri that we don't know?
See, I think now, I don't think now is not the best time for me to really talk about that person because, rather publicly visible kind of role, though I try my best not to be visible much. The work speaks for itself or the does for itself. But not many people would know, except my very close friends, that I'm an excellent drink maker. I love mixing cocktails for my friends at parties, and I'm in fact invited, if ever, not to attend it as a guest, but as somebody who can make great drinks for my friends.
Amazing. Sir, now let's move on to the last segment where our current grade 12 students who call themselves media practitioners, because this is what we are learning in mass media studies, that it's important to have media literacy. You can't just blindly believe what any news publication is trying to tell you. And the ones who practice media are called media practitioners. So many of them are budding writers, budding journalists. Some want to get into media, some want to get into the cinematography and direction. So let's open the floor for them. They will be coming one by one and they will ask you some exciting questions about the same.
Welcome to our school, sir. We are enlightened to have you as our guest today. I'm Shlok Soni, an aspiring designer. But I also realized how, after researching about you, I can't be confined to one career. So, sir, my first question is, could you explain us your transition from your previous role to your current one? Because the Gen Z believes that you should focus on one career and get on the top of the sector. Do you still believe in the same ideology, or do you think that changing your career in different times is better?
So, Shok, some people have the luxury of picking up something and do so well. It'll be impossible for any of us to imagine, if they're well known, that they could do anything else. I was born in the year 1973, the same year that Sachin Tendulkar was born. So we went to do our class 10th in 1989. Except that when we were writing our class 10 board, Sachin Tendulkar had already made an international debut and was playing for India. You can't believe, or anybody on earth would even accept the idea that Sachin Tendulkar should have done anything except play cricket. Some people do something so well. I have done different things because maybe I have not done anything so well or reached that acme of success or sense of realization of my fullest talent and potential. But one thing I'll tell you, the previous generation, that's my father's generation, a lot of them would take up a job, mostly in the government, or public sector, government, and they live their entire lives, 38, 40 years of their careers in one company, one job. And that has changed in my generation, where people are doing 2 to 3 kinds of careers or 2 to 3 different kind of job roles. I have felt that one, it was always, I used to get bored very easily with any job, unless the bosses or the environment really challenged me with opportunities. Second thing is, I think I shouldn't be saying this, but there's a beautiful satisfaction you get writing a resignation letter and giving it to somebody. It's fun. You shouldn't miss doing it a few times in life.
Okay, thank you for your answer, sir. My second question is, seeing the easy access to social media and the fake information being spread online, what is the significance of media literacy according to you in the current world?
See, fake news is a problem. It's well organized. Not all of it is well organized. Some of it is just casual misinformation. There's lack of credibility in certain sources. And I believe natural filters will apply, but we need vigil at different levels. Now, for example, you must have heard about these excellent programs by Google, for example. Google is somebody that's supporting massive fact check initiatives. I think a lot of other corporations are Facebook or X is something called community notes. I think it's yet to take off into something as effective as it should be. So the truth is there will be lies told, some deliberately, some by accident, some by lack of interest or ignorance. But the great wisdom we all must, and your generation must really hold, because it'll have greater impact on your lives, is eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. You must go to the fundamental dictum of journalism, which is when somebody is speaking to you, ask yourself, why is this beep, beep, beep telling me a lie?
So, sir, do you think that traditional media is more trustworthy than social media?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, this is
Or worse.
So, being an artist myself, I've had a specific moment in my life that I decided to share my paintings with people. So, sir, as you're a writer and a novelist, did you have a specific moment in your life as well when you decided to share your thoughts with people?
Largely from the beginning, felt that we're creating art as a conversation, as a connect, as a contribution to the world. Whether the world likes it or not, accepts it or not, you would like to present it to them.
Yes.
We did not have the opportunities to present it to other people that easily as your generation has, including technology. But I always felt everything I'm writing, creating can and is meant for the rest of the world to see if they care.
All right. Thank you, sir. That's it for today.
Thank you, Shlok.
Good morning, sir. I'm Devrat. I aspire to be a lawyer, but also as a media practitioner. I'm very interested in politics and journalism. So, sir, proceeding with my question, it was wonderful to know that how boredom was a motivator for you for the transition of your careers, moving from journalism to corporate roles and now serving in government communications. Sir, what lessons have you carried across these fields?
Firstly, I'm happy you like the idea of boredom. Boredom is something that's not there enough in lives of people, especially your generation. Because the moment you have a second, you have some Twitter or Instagram to engage with. You don't even get the time to be left alone to know you're bored. And boredom is a beautiful factory of great ideas. So if there was one suggestion to people, please find ways to be bored and let it shape you a bit. Broadly, boredom is very underrated. What was the second part when I got stuck with the boredom? And
Sir, what lessons have you carried across these fields?
lessons. I've learned many lessons. I've learned, but the lessons I learned in jobs while moving from one job to another were not very profound. They were very simple, like never call your boss a donkey on email, or never fight with your manager because their appraisal didn't go well, because that's not the end of his power over you, and so on and so forth. No, I think be open to learn. Not all lessons you get from the world or life are profound or important. Feel free to discard them as well. So take some, work on some. If it works, fine. I think approaching all these things in an experimental mindset is better. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Give it a shot, see if it works. If it doesn't work, junk it.
Amazing, sir. If you could change one policy or introduce a new policy today in Telangana, what would it be and why?
I don't want to comment on this. I really don't have the power to change or influence policy. That's not my scope of work. But we interestingly have that kind of a government that is willing to engage with people on any policy suggestion feedback. So any citizen of this state has any suggestion, any policy. So you ask me if you had a power. I'm saying I don't, but you have that power. You could write to the government and say, I would like to see this policy change. It will be considered. Whether it's good enough and works for enough people or not, I don't know. But every citizen can do that.
Sir, would you describe your political beliefs as leaning towards any particular ideology, or do you see yourself as more independent?
I don't like this question because independent is not the way to describe somebody who's qua and beyond a ideology. Your independence comes from a commitment to ideology too. Maybe my ideology is independence. And yes, I am committed to certain ideologies. Absolutely am. And a human being's character is defined at one level by the values he or she holds, but at another level, no matter what those values are, that level of conviction and passion with which you are glued to them and will hold that flag or the torch. So if you don't have one idea for which you're willing to die, maybe you're dead already.
Sir, finally, as a student passionate about leadership and public speaking, what advice would you offer to young people who aspire to make an impact through writing, public speaking, and activism?
If you want to write, read. If you want to speak well, you have to learn from the right kind of professionals and practice. Maybe set up a debating club for example, we used to go to this place called Young Orators Club of Secunderabad, Yorks. You could, or there's something called Univi. I don't know how vibrant these clubs are now, but set up a club, debate, and there's several specific advice that can be given on how to be a better public speaker or orator. And I think activism, I really don't know much about it, except that conviction and consistency are important.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the lovely questions.
Sir.
Greetings, sir. I am Alima Ahmed, and I aspire to achieve great heights in the field of law. And being media literate has always been my priority. So now I'd like to ask you some questions. So, as a columnist, you've covered a diverse array of topics over the years, right? Do you have any subjects or topics that you wrote about that made you feel very rewarding and fulfilling in terms of the impact it carried?
Alima, there are some pieces I absolutely loved for the sheer idea and the quality of prose. Unfortunately or fortunately, that may be a component of media work that is lost on most. The work that has maximum impact is sometimes very different from the piece that leaves you very satisfied. So some of the edits, some of the funny pieces I have written, some of the serious reflections I've done may have given me a lot of satisfaction, but may have had very little impact. Whereas some of the journalism that has made the biggest impact, I may not have enjoyed from a perspective of analysis or writing or quality of writing, etc.
Sure, sir. Did you ever think that something you write might elicit extreme reactions from people because of your writing about sensitive topics? And have you always been open and straightforward? What is your reaction to criticism?
Okay, very, very different and difficult questions. You packed it all. You will be a great lawyer, and I have no doubts about it. So, as a person, I am reasonably straightforward, frank, and I don't know, bold, but stupid, you can say. Too stupid to know the risk I'm taking. As a matter of just being how I am. This has obviously led to me saying things and writing things which most others would not. And therefore, it has led to, I would say, interesting scenarios in life. Some good, some bad. Some I don't come out looking good at all. And I've had all of them. And I've done things which have gotten me legal notices. I've written pieces for which protesters came outside my office and threatened to beat me and break the glass. There have been death sentences announced on social media. There have been threats. But yeah, it was all, since I'm alive, I think I can laugh and say it was fun.
Sir, as the Director of Media and Communications of the Government of Telangana, how do you manage the challenge of sharing complex information with the diverse audience of the state? And how much do you attribute your success to your career flexibility?
The first time anybody's accused me of being very successful and all, but flexibility as much as being stuck to your convictions are both virtues. It's just that you should know when to do what, and it's very hard to know. So yeah, I've been flexible at times when it was needed. But the first part of the question, how do you convey complex information, ideas to a diverse audience across a multitude of platforms and wires and pipes connecting you to different people, is the biggest challenge of my professionally. And I'm still figuring out the answers, I must say. And we succeed with some, we don't succeed with some, we keep trying. And we try to learn from other people and see what others have done. And yeah, so how do you do it? I would say with a lot of sincerity and with mixed results.
Right, sir. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Halima, and all the best for your career as
Thank you so
a
much.
student now and a professional tomorrow.
So it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Nishka. I'm an aspiring filmmaker as well as a media student. So I've dreamt to tell stories my whole life, and be it through a lens or through my scripts. And I would like to ask you a few questions considering you have done that your whole life. So, sir, how do you decide which stories are worth telling, especially in the age where so much content competes for attention?
So pleasure meeting you, Nishka, and very thrilled to meet a young person like you who wants to be a storyteller. That's so nice to know. Which are the stories worth telling? I think as a storyteller, I'm sure you have a sense of it yourself. But if you're convinced that this story deserves you to fully back it, and you'll sense it, because just like we don't love all people equally, or all ideas equally, or all food dishes equally, or we won't like all stories equally. So when you create that story, Nishka, which you know is your absolute love, you will know it.
Thank you, sir. Sir, based on your experience as a journalist, what are some significant changes you've observed in how Gen Z and millennials consume media and news?
First, I think nobody's reading the newspaper in physical format. I think this is one of the biggest changes. Now, this is both a challenge for society and a big challenge for journalists, of course, media houses, of course, in the print industry, but that's a limited challenge. The larger problem is now you see civilization, and some of your colleagues before you said they want to be lawyers. All this requires there was always a sense of credibility and permanence about putting paper and pen together. So that's a format kind of a change. The other thing I noticed is they like to consume more things that come through their friends. So, and then it's that's how every set of teenagers have always been. Grown-ups complain about teenagers, and teenagers don't care or understand what the grown-ups are saying. I think that's a beautiful part of being a teenager. And then they trust what their friends share with them rather than that which is published in some journal or a newspaper. So I think the trust factor in teenagers is higher for their friends over everybody else. And therefore, consumption of news gets socialized. Media has long ago been unbundled. It's occupied a point where each item can, so I may have a newspaper, page one with 20 articles. One article may be read by 10 million people through platforms I have no clue about, whereas the article next to it may not have been looked at, glanced even 100 times. So it's possible.
Right, sir. Finally, sir, I have a few questions related to your writing career. So, in your book, Autobiography of a Mad Nation, you've explored various complexities related to contemporary India. So, now that it's officially been a decade since the book was published, how do you think India has changed over these 10 years? And so, my next question is, do you believe India is still mad in some ways? If so, what do you consider is the most mad aspect of India right now?
I was mad then, now it's crazy. But to answer your first question, some are very positive and some are a little frightening and some a little sad. What is very positive about India is the confidence of young people like you. I remember there was a time when if you had gone to school and spoken to class 11th or 12th children, they would have been a greater sense of despondency, of diffidence, of lack of clarity and confidence. But all of you, I have met just some of you in the class, but I'm sure you reflect and showcase your other classmates as well and other people of your age and of your generation, that you're very confident, you have a much far better informed about the world and choices for yourself and the values that drive you and why you would do certain things. So this is very positive. The sense of confidence, the sense of, so much is possible and I can do everything or I can do so many amazing things, that's very good. Where, if you ask me, I'm concerned about the country a decade or more after the Mad Nation, or even otherwise, 2025, 2 or 3 things are frightening. One is the ease with which you can convince society of falsehoods that are so illogical. It has always been the case that we could do so, but how some people are able to do it so easily on such a grand scale is befuddling. I mean, there's a book I had written before Mad Nation called The Spiritual Supermarket, where 4 companies run the world: religion, reason, violence, and politics. I think today reason is not performing well as it should in the larger health of society.
Well, thank you, sir, for sparing time of your busy schedule. You really gave us information which was out of the books, to be honest, as we are media students and we've been studying about it all in our textbooks, sir. Well, you've gave us this confidence and you've prepared us for our future endeavors. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for inviting me, Nishika, and lovely meeting all of you.
Sir, this has been one of the most real and engaging conversations in the Social Scoop. On a serious note, unfiltered, raw, you gave us the truth and proper raw insights about the world of journalism, storytelling and politics. Your words, whether written or spoken, will continue to inspire me and all of us always. And thank you so much for your time. And more than that, your honesty. I'm sure this conversation will be one to remember for all of us. This is Bansri Trivedi with Mr. Sriram Karri signing off on The Social Scoop.